Hey guys, it's Lee, and today I'm going to be making cheddar cheese bread in the bread machine. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know I already have this recipe up on my channel, and I will link it down below. But this time I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently because instead of yeast, I'm going to be using sourdough starter. I'm pretty new to sourdough. I have been making Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone's beginner sourdough bread, and then I was reading about how to convert your recipes, your yeast recipes, over to sourdough. So I tried this and it worked out beautifully. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I did that. As for my sourdough starter, I didn't make it myself. I actually bought it on Etsy and it's been working great. I guess I can leave the Etsy seller in the description below. I mean, she doesn't know I'm doing that. She doesn't know I have a YouTube channel, but I can go ahead and leave her information down below for you guys. I'm going to start off with my sourdough starter. I fed it earlier today and now it has risen, I guess, and it's all nice and bubbly. You can use anywhere from a half a cup to a cup. This is a 3/4 cup measuring cup. I'm going to put that in there. I mean, up to a cup is good. I'm actually put just a little bit more. So let's say a cup of sourdough starter. But if you don't have a cup, use what you have. But at least a half a cup. All right, so I'm gonna put that in. And then next I'm going to put in 3 cups of bread flour. So the bread flour's in there. I know some people will ask if you can use regular flour, regular all-purpose. I've done it before with the regular recipe, but I haven't tried it with the sourdough version. Next, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you don't want to use sugar, you can probably use honey. I've never tried it, so I don't know for sure, but it sounds like it would work. Sugar is in there. So the original recipe calls for 1 1/4 cups of milk. I'm just going to be using 1/4 cup because the sourdough starter is liquidy. So I'm going to use a. And then you also need 1 tablespoon of softened butter. So I'm going to put these 2 together and then just put them in the microwave for a little while to warm up the milk. You just want to take the chill off the milk and the butter. You don't want them to be hot. So while I'm waiting for my milk to cool down because I made it too hot, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, which means I'm just going to add in some black pepper. That looks good. 1 teaspoon of salt. And then the onion powder and garlic powder are not in the original recipe, but I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of each because it makes it delicious. Now I'm going to add in 1/3 cup of shredded parmesan. I was going to measure it, but that's about 1/3. Go ahead and measure if you like. That's what that looks like. And then 1 1/2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese. I have Mexican style. It'll be fine. And you want to make sure your cheeses are room temperature. So now I'm going to add in the milk and butter. Then I put the pan in the bread machine. And on my machine, you can see that, maybe you can see, well, you can't really see, but number 7 is dough. So we're going to come over to the menu. Oh, let me move it into the shade a little bit. We're going to come over to the menu and select 7 for dough and start. Now I'm just going to let that run completely through the dough cycle, and when the dough cycle is over, I'll be back. I forgot to mention that keep an eye on it when it's mixing in the beginning to make sure it's not too wet or too dry, but this looks really good. So I'll be back when the dough cycle has finished. All right, the dough cycle has ended, and this is what the bread dough looks like right now. You have two options. You can either leave it in the machine for the next 4 to 6 hours. You want it to rise. Or you can do what I'm going to do, which is put it in my oven with the light on to help it rise. The amount of time it takes for it to rise depends on the temperature in your house and how active your starter was. So I'm going to let this rise in my oven for 4 to 6 hours, and then I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, so I let this rise, I think it was about 6 hours. So now I'm going to bake it in my bread machine over here. So I'm going to put it in the machine, and then I'm going to select the bake mode, which is number 8. See how much of this you guys can actually see. And hit start. Now this will bake in 1 hour. My other bread machine is a Cuisinart, and it bakes for 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is way too long. So I'm using this one that bakes for 1 hour, and this is a Farberware machine. If I can find it, I will link it down below. So we'll be back in 1 hour to see what it looks like. All right, so here it is right out of the bread machine. I'm going to take it out of the pan and let it sit on the wire rack and cool down before I cut it. It looks beautiful.
All right, I have to do a voiceover for this part because it's evening and my house is noisy. So here's the bread completely cooled off. I cut a piece of it and it looks and smells and tastes amazing. I love the way this bread turned out. I had no idea it was so easy to convert a regular bread recipe to a sourdough recipe. Now this is the only recipe I've tried, mind you, but I'm definitely going to try some more. I'm tasting it right there. It's so good. Let me know if you have tried converting regular yeast recipes to sourdough recipes and how it's worked out for you. Also, let me know if you'd like to see more sourdough bread videos on my channel. I'm probably going to make them either way, but let me know. Also, if you try this recipe, take a picture of it and tag me over on Instagram at LeighsHome05. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. You can also find me over on Instagram and Facebook at LeighsHome05. Thanks for watching. Bye.